Hey there you, and welcome back to the Crag. Now in our last video we noticed that the worker head blocks here were not quite the right size, so this whole area has been redesigned. And with the redesign completed and better access ramps added, now we need to test it out. So I thought, what better way than to ignite one of our old rivalries from the channel here, as today the Tau are going to try and defend the head block against none other than the might of the Orky Horde. Will the Orcs be able to smash through the Tau lines? Or will narrow choke points and weight of fire swing in favor of the Tau? Naturally, ladies and gentlemen, there's only one way to find out. Alright then, here we go, ladies and gentlemen. Now you might have noticed that I've put the Orcs relatively close here to the tower lines, not really allowing them to use their ranged firepower here, and that's for good reason, because there is two natural choke points here on this map, being the entrances to the fortress that the Orcs have to get their rest of the army through, which means that reinforcements will be flimsy should the Orcs falter on these front lines here, and already you can see the Karut just pushing down these new and extended ramps here. The weight of firepower from the Tau lines just raining down upon the Orky Horde here, and the Tau make really good progress. Now I'm going to apologize in advance because for some reason in my brain I keep calling these guys Aldar. I don't know why, but I think I might have even done it in the intro. I'm not 100% sure. Oh my god, but look at this. At the moment, Tau pushing out really far here. Now they've got to be careful. So everyone is set to guard mode in here, apart from the XV8 suits, who are basically told to hold at the top of the ramps at all costs. So these XV8s here will not budge at all. They're going to be sat here spraying out firepower down into the Orky Horde as it approaches. Now, I will say, ladies and gentlemen, this map is still nowhere near complete. There's many more months of work that needs to go into it, but the basic functionality is starting to appear. So just while we're waiting for the front line to develop here, you notice that we've got these new guard barracks here. I think these look really cool. Only in death does duty end. I think that's a really nice addition. You might have also noticed in the intro that we've actually got some flak towers now around the outer edge of the wall, which look really nice, and there in the background you can also see that we've been working on a cathedral here with its massive gates. Look at that bad boy. It's still not finished yet, but I'm liking how it started out. But yes, ladies and gentlemen, this map's still very much a work in progress. Look at this. The Tau here bringing out reinforcements down from the side of the pipelines to try and stop this Orky flanking maneuver. Now, there is this little roadway here, which also the Karut are powering their way down to try and hold the Orcs at the base of the ramp here, because you don't want them Orcs coming up. Although I don't know, maybe the Tau do actually, because these are some really insanely narrow bottlenecks that we've got on the sides here. Oh, just looking at the outside of the fortress here, it looks like a load of the Tau reinforcements in Karut have tried to come out of the secondary rear gate here to try and outflank the Orcs, but the Orcs are already on the way, committed vast swathes of reinforcements here. And they've actually already broken through the Tau line. Look at that. Choppers are surging their way through here. The crew trying to form a defensive line, but not much is happening so far. However, that narrow gateway there, I've just noticed, it has a lot of fire warriors behind it at the moment. And that's really good, because this is a very narrow gap here. So the Orcs might end up having to pile corpses to get through there. Let's go back down to our main up front line. So for now, and the goo is starting to flow, ladies and gentlemen. It looks like the Orcs are breaking through that first Karut line bit by bit, and now they're starting to assault the ramps proper here. So what actually happened is, it looks like we built up a defilade of bodies, which means that the Tau firepower is no longer causing anywhere near as much collateral damage as it was previously, because now they're shooting into the mound of corpses. God, them XV8 suits. This side of the battlefield, though, holding really nicely. You can see that we've got lots of Karut here piling into that front line. Again, this is a much bigger access ramp. God, the goo was really starting to pile up all over the floor as well. There's a lot of it there. How are we doing on this side, chaps? My God, look at that. The Orcs are really close to the gap here. Looks like Orky shooters have been having a little bit of a field day. We've got a few dead Tau fire warriors here on the floor. You can already see the Dakar smoke in the background just back here, trying to take out any all of the Tau that they can. Actually, look at this. We've got some nice fire warrior groups at the top. They've got some really good angles. So yeah, it looks like these two other ramps there were struggling at the moment to hold out, which is kind of interesting. But I suppose it's because we've got this big promenade in the center here. Mind you, I suppose these other ones are bigger, but they're boxed in as well, though. How are we doing on this side, chaps? Looks like the orcs have now surrounded the Karut flanking reinforcements. What about over this side? We've got a massive armada of orcs coming in. Well, yet again, they have been halted in their tracks by a bunch of Karut in there. Looks like the Karut here have actually pushed them really quite far back. Again, we've got a base of fire warriors at the back, providing covering support about 20 miles behind the front line. How are we doing on the other gate? This battle is really starting to spread. The Karut lines are faltering slowly but surely out here. The orcs using their brutish green strength to just overwhelm the defenders. Tau pouring out of the gates, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough. Although, that is a lot of fire warriors we've got here. We've even got fire warriors at the back line, providing overwatch cover support here. Just slightly higher than the rest of them. But I want to keep an eye on these lines over here, because the orcs have been pushing on forward mirthlessly here. Look at these defilades that we're making at the front line. Oh my god, the body piles, they're getting ridiculous already. Now, I've got to imagine that a lot of this will end up filling up with goo as the battle goes on. Because the orcs are going to be building up corpses. If the Tau can hold these defensive lines, the corpses are going to really start piling up here, to the point where we might even start, you know, enveloping these buildings. That'll be cool to see, actually. But at the moment, Tau firepower is doing its job. I'm surprised the orcs actually haven't got up this rampart yet. Looks like we have just enough Karut stopping the orcs, but is there any more now? Because look at this. That looks like the last of them is about to falter there. Oh, look, you can see where the firepower has been leveling into the orcs as they've tried to make their way up. There we go. The surge is happening now. They've managed to gain some ground here, but they're about to come into a world of hurt, because now they're getting opened up to all these guns over this side. And thankfully, we have got a few Karut over here. Again, the corpses piling up around the bridge sides here. Eventually, they will pile up enough to be able to get over. Looks like we're starting to lose the Tau flank over this side. Orcs now pushing through the refinery itself. And it looks like we've got a bit of a battle going on in the central courtyard of the refinery. The storage area is slowly getting overwhelmed. And that's a lot of orcs coming into that. Look at this, we're having to pour in tower reinforcements into there. I haven't called them Eldar yet, which is good. I think it's because I've said that I was going to call them Eldar. I'm now making a much more conscientious effort not to call them Eldar. There's just too many similarities between them for me. They're very, very similar. If you just, you know, slightly change the armor and the color of the weapons. Look at this over here. Oh my god. Is little Timmy about to be praised? Little Timmy be praised. That is at rubber dinghy level. The orcs are really struggling now to push on forward through this part, and that goo is really piling up. Pooling. I should say pooling. Goo doesn't pile. I mean, if it does, you need to go to the doctor, okay? This is brutal for the orcs, though, at the moment. 450,000 kills so far to the Tau army. There's only 100,000 of them, but there is 1.8 million orcs remaining on the field here. And they are slowly starting to swarm around the back end. This will be the interesting part. What happens if the orcs break through this flank here? Because I've got a feeling the Tau can hold the gatehouse pretty nicely over here. They've got a lot of firepower, all pointing at that one area. We've got a steady flow of Karut coming in. And the orcs are just struggling to push on through there. And I do not blame them. Look at all that firepower coming out. There's so much of it. How are we doing at this side? Look, see what I mean about the orc army starting to thin out bit by bit. Before this entire area was full. Now we're relying on the reinforcements slowly but surely here. And as the orcs get wiped out, that's just going to happen more and more. It looks like the Karut are actually trying to mount a little bit of a countercharge going forward. We've actually got this tiny defilade of fire warrior corpses as well, which is kind of cute. The orc Daka there actually having an effect. What the hell happened here? You take your eye off the battlefield for 1 second, ladies and gentlemen, and oh my god, the Eye of Horus itself opens up. Little Timmy, get out your submarine, your aircraft carrier, whatever the hell you want. We have made a gigantic goo lake here. Now the orcs, look at this, interestingly, having to pile up the corpses either side of the ramp. The ramp itself has flooded. That's absolutely diabolical. Oh my god, I love that as well, how naturally neat it looks, because it just meets a flat area after that. But there, that is absolutely insane. Like I said, we didn't look at that area for 1 second, and all of a sudden, just this massive goo lake appears. Let's go keep an eye on this flank over here now. God, look at the orcs trying to go up the little highway here. They're really piling up the corpses yet again. We're starting to get a lot of goo appearing. Look at this, though. As the corpses are falling off the bridge now, they're all piling up at the side. And if this carries on for a long enough period of time, that's going to create a new pathing area there for the AI to be able to go up. Okay, how are we doing, chaps? Okay, it looks like we're finally breaking through the refinery on this side. We're now at the tankers themselves, which is a little bit worrying, because the tower not very good in melee combat, as we're finding out here. The fire warriors just getting chopped up almost instantly there by the orcs. And I think the problem here is that, look, we've got a really tight grouping of fire warriors that have all appeared here, which is not allowing enough melee reinforcements to come through them lines, which has allowed the orcs to now capitalize on that. So what's probably going to happen here then is we're going to lose a bunch of fire warriors before the Karut are able to start pathing through again, at which point the balance of power may have already tipped in favor there of the orcs. Let's get back over this side, because things are looking a little bit scatterbrained over here now. I think it's the fact that the tower's starting to run out of Karut troops, period, here. There was only like 150,000, was it 100? It's either 100,000 or 150,000 that I put down. I can't quite remember off the top of my head now. So yeah, I think that's part of the problem. It looks like we've actually still got quite a lot of them though in the main defensive lines over here, which is good. The XV8 suits are still working hard. How's our Blood Lake doing over this side? Have we almost filled it in? I mean, we're getting there bit by bit. Oh my god, look at this. This is absolutely insane now over here. There's so many orcs just pouring into that one location. My god. Look at how high the bodies are getting. We can actually measure it now, because now I've resized these buildings. They're almost realistic size now to actual people. So if we go to the door, there we go, look. You'll see a fire warrior should be able to fit through the ever glitching door there. So they do need to be slightly bigger, but I'm not gonna mess with it any more than it already is. Takes a lot of effort to resize them. You may have noticed that I had to delete a couple of the worker blocks as well. Oh my god, look, I think this is actually, it has, look. It has become a pathable zone now, which means that all these orcs are going to be piling up. We've got loads of them trying to move into this area. They're going to be shot in the side, which means this should fill up bit by bit and create a second land bridge. Looks like we might actually be getting to a point where they'll be able to path over this way as well. How are we doing over here, chaps? Okay, so the concentrated wall of Tau, its firepower is actually holding the orcs, thanks to the narrow bottleneck effect that is going on. I also think the orcs can't get enough reinforcements into that area currently. But the orcs really need this flanking maneuver to win over here. They really do. Because, like I said, I think the orcs are just going to perish over this side. I mean, already look at how high the corpses are getting. They're almost the same height as the flak tower, by the way, I'd like to point out. An actual tower. God, look at that. That almost looks like AA fire. That's kind of crazy. I love that. But yeah, the orcs not really making any progress over here. I mean, they've made some magnificent body piles, don't get me wrong. But until the Karut run out on the front line here, I don't think they're going to get any further than they have at the moment. These are buildings here offering really nice bottlenecks for the Tau defenders. In fact, the whole area is just one insane bottleneck. It's still got enough of what I like about it though is it's still got enough room to allow a decent flow of troops through it, but it still can be defended. However, you can build up the corpses pretty quickly around it to breach through if needed. Let's have a look. Come on. I want to see these corpses just pile up over the flak towers. I really do. It would probably mean all of these orcs getting turned into paste, but it would look cool as all heck. God, the orcs are actually starting to run out of reinforcements over here. Look at that. They've got hardly anything left. Oh, look at this. I thought the refinery had been cleared out, but apparently not. There's still a gaggle of fire warriors in here that the orcs are trying to assault, but are having no luck doing it because they've only got choppers on the line. They need a little bit more than that. In fact, the whole reinforcement area for the entire refinery is looking a little bit weak. The orcs still haven't managed to push through this fire warrior line. However, look what has happened. The corpses have piled up enough now to make this corner of the wall an active threat here. Now, we have got a bunch of Karut, though. Look at that. There's a load of Karut have moved up to this side to try and stop this happening, but I think it's inevitable at this point that the orcs are going to break through at some point, because the bodies are just really building up way too much here now. The fire warriors taking more and more losses, diminishing the returns there on their firepower. Well, we're officially at 3 stories now. Look at that. There's 1, 2, 3 window panes now that we've built the corpses up to. And the orcs are still flinging themselves over the top. It's just madness here today. The tower defense is doing really well so far, but you can definitely tell it's been thinned out. It's holding on by a horsehair here. Them XV8 suits are no longer holding a ramp, they're just holding a base of corpses. That's all they're doing. This side, I've got to say, looking really healthy though. The orcs have just been funneled into this horrible area. And you know what? This one has been pretty disastrous for the orcs too. Look at this, how exuberant the tower getting. They're actually pushing up the ramp to take the fight to the orcs, to try and push over. And they're only fire warriors. That's ridiculous. But what I want to do, I want to quickly hit a little time-lapse camera, because I think we do have enough orcs in this area to breach through this little section here. And I don't think much else is going to change in the battle at the moment until we break through this particular area. So we're going to do a little time-lapse camera just from here. We're going to try and keep as much of the battlefield. So we can see the gatehouse over there. We can see the ramp over on that side. And we'll be back in a moment. Alright. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, where something kind of crazy has been happening here. So you notice that the orcs almost broke through this line, but they're getting distracted by the group of Karut that are just on the other side here. Look, they're struggling to get through there. That's a real nasty little distraction there by the tower. But look at what's been happening over here at our highway. The orcs have almost completely broken through this section now. And are storming through, but I was impressed with this. What the hell has gone on here? Enough bodies have built up, and now they're trying to push through this tiny little gap down here. That's kind of crazy too, but let's have a look. Oh my god. What has happened over here? There's less than 500,000 orcs remaining, and it's all just fire warriors over this side. That's all that's left. There's virtually no Karut left on there whatsoever now. And it looks like the orc reinforcements are actually starting to run out. Look what's happened over this side of the field. Oh my god. We've barely got enough orcs coming in to actually occupy these lines. That's ridiculous. What in God's earth happened over here? Oh, that looks really pretty, actually. I love these little outer rings that we made. Almost looks like an orc symbol, actually. But yeah, this looks like it's just going to be a slow and painful death here for the orcs now. They've just got no, like, sort of, horde left. There's no big group of orcs left at all here. They've just been slowly bled dry. Now, this is what I said might happen, because they're only allowed to get so many through these gatehouses at a time here. And the tail rate of fire has just been enough to whittle these reinforcements down. So really, it's all hinging on sort of these guys being able to break through. I don't even know how many reinforcements are left over. Oh yeah, so not many. So yeah, it's now or never for the orcs, really. If they don't break through this now, they're not going to do it at all. If they finally killed all the fire warriors in here, that'll be a big help. No, they haven't. It's because they've got covering support fire here. Oh, the poor orcs. They were looking like they were doing so well, but just these choke points in the worker habs have really just ground down their numbers. And this hasn't helped at all, whatever ridiculousness this is here. Yeah, so what I might end up doing eventually is I might end up filling in at these little gaps between the buildings with fences or something like that, just so this sort of thing doesn't happen. Because it is a little bit silly that the armies are trying to fit through these tiny gaps when they've got much bigger avenues of attack. Like, the orcs should be storming down here. This defense should have collapsed a long time ago, but because they're being filtered into this stupid little area here, they're just dying. Like, I don't get it. They should be going around there, so yeah, I'm going to definitely fill in between these worker blocks, I think, to stop this from happening. Can put some invisible walls in there if need be. But yeah, that's... oh my god. Have we actually gone above the flak tower? So... that's the level of the flak tower, right? Oh my god. We are at the level of the flak tower. The body pile here is the same height as the flak tower. That is ridiculous. So many orcs have perished here. Yeah, look now. I think the tower going to start pushing out fairly soon here. There's not much the orcs can do at the moment. So I think we're going to wrap this one up with our time lapses here. Let's get a nice little angle, because I'm not quite sure what's going to happen where here. But I've got a feeling the tower going to push out. So we'll probably just come... oh, God. Because of the worker blocks, you can't get a nice angle. It's the only downside. Maybe we should go for an overhead, but when you go further out overhead, you'll lose the colours of the unit, so you can't really see what's happening. Might just end up going from here, to be honest. Let's just watch this body pile slowly get insanely high. Let's maybe... no. Let's watch this side. I'm so indecisive here. I don't know where to go. Where should I go? You know what? I'm just going to go here. At least then we can see the Tau army pushing out and we can see the orc reinforcements. That'll do me. Right. We'll be back in a moment. Well, ladies and gentlemen, it comes down to this. Now, I was really hoping that we'd get to see a tower countercharge here, but unfortunately, the blue space communist cowards here, they literally just sat in place and used their superior range to eradicate the orcs from a distance. Kind of sad, really, but yeah, the last of the orcs now getting wiped out, and now they decide to push out. Absolute space commies, total cowards here. But ladies and gentlemen, so now I know what else I need to do to make this area a little bit better here. My god, look at this. Look at some of the body piles we made here at the end. Oh my god, look at the gatehouse in the background. We'll go check that out in a second. Yeah, the highway here got turned into the highway of death pretty damn quickly there. Let's go have a look at this gatehouse because... yeah, that's just ridiculous. The fact that we got it up to the same height as the flak tower here, that's just, yeah, there's so many body piles up here. Okay, so yeah, 200 orcs left on the field, and at that, ladies and gentlemen, we can end this one here. As always, I do hope you had a blast. I know I did. Please do comment, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. And until next time, you wonderful internet sausages. Peace.